Welcome to Executive Leaders Radio, your spot in the corner office, the radio show where executives share their secrets to success. Executive Leaders Radio.
You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen, with my co-hosts, Jim Wilson, Newmark, Caleb Hoppus, Hanlon, and David Jackwitz, Evolution Financial Group. We have a great lineup of guests for you on our show today, including, Caleb, would you give us a rundown, please?
Yes, that's correct, Herb. We have a great lineup today. We have Terry Dougherty, the Executive Director of College Settlement. We have Brandon McVaugh, the President of LTI, Laboratory Testing, Inc. Yam and Paul Douglas of JPI Group. Yam is the CEO and Paul is the President. And we have Jamie Schrotberger, who is the CEO of Spread Bagelry.
Well, let's get to know our first guest, Terry Dougherty, Executive Director of College Settlement. Terry, what is College Settlement? What are you guys doing?
College Settlement provides a unique camping experience for children between the ages of 8 and 15, as well as an outdoor school program.
And how old is this organization? How many kids have you been able to help?
College Settlement is celebrating our 100th anniversary of summer camp, and in a normal year, we have about 5,000 outdoor school children and 1,000 summer campers.
How many brothers and sisters do you have? Where are you in the pecking order, and where are you from originally?
There's 7 of us in the family, and I am the youngest.
And you're the youngest. Okay. And 8 to 14, what kind of stuff were you up to as a kid?
As a kid, I played a lot of sports. I was involved in student council, and it was a great experience to be able to do all those things. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned you were involved with student council. Why were you involved with student council? What was in student council for you?
I think everybody deserves a voice, and it's important to be able to present that voice regardless. And it was something that gave me an opportunity to be a leader.
What's that presenting a voice? Everybody should have the opportunity of having a voice. What's that have to do with your role as Executive Director of College Settlement?
In College Settlement, we try to give the kids an opportunity to have a voice, to be appreciated, to instill confidence in them, to try new things. Mm-hmm.
Jim?
Yeah, Terry, youngest is 7. What was the age gap between you and the oldest?
My oldest sister is 23 years older than me.
Wow. Sometimes in a large family like that, some of the parents only have so much time, and the brothers and sisters kind of take on mom and dad roles. So was there anyone you were close with in your sibling of yours that was a real role model?
My sister Claire, she was the next in line age-wise, and she used to take me everywhere. She'd take me to all my games and was one of my coaches.
You were mentioning something in the green room about going to some softball games with your sister. What kind of things was she talking about when you were there?
It sounds to me like your sister involved you in everything. What's being involved in everything and keeping engaged? What's that have to do with your role as Executive Director of College Settlement?
I think she made sure I had connections to the community and connections to my teammates. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important in my role, is to collaborate and to make connections with the youth that we serve.
Super. David?
Terry, you mentioned in the green room about playing softball. What was your position in softball?
I was a catcher.
So tell us a little bit about the role of a catcher on the team.
The role of the catcher is you're involved in every play. You get to provide direction, you motivate your teammates, and you can include everyone.
How do you think that relates to your running of College Settlement today?
Well, I have a really great staff that all play a role, and I think it's important for them to feel that they're supported, and they then take from my direction and lead the children to try different things and instill confidence in them.
Mm-hmm. Caleb?
So, Terry, you were the student council president. How did you get elected?
Well, I wasn't the president, but I was one of the representatives. And I basically wore a button and all during the elections and just told people that I thought it was important that everybody was represented.
So you were kind of running more so on the issues than something like, getting candy bars in the vending machine?
Yes, that people would give out candy bars and try to get people's votes. And my thing was, I'm not about giving out candy bars. I'm about being able to be heard.
Yeah. So as the leader of College Settlement, it's important to make sure that you have a good value proposition. You're staying strong to your roots. What do you do to make sure that that's true at College Settlement?
Well, I think it's important, like I said, to include everybody and get everybody's feedback and then be able to present a good case to all the board and the people that come to our camp.
Mm-hmm. Jim?
Terry, what did your dad do for a living?
My father worked at Exide Batteries for 41 years.
Did he ever take you to work with them?
Yeah, on the weekends, occasionally he would take me to work.
What would he say about the people that work there?
One of the things he always taught me was that everybody has a role. So you should treat the president like you treat the janitor, because everybody's important.
How does that carry over to your role at College Settlement?
Very much so. We all have a role, and we have to work together in order to provide the best experience for the campers.
Mm-hmm. David?
Earlier, we were talking about your mom. What was your mom's role growing up?
My mom was a homemaker. She was in charge of all of us, but she was sort of the glue that kept everybody together.
And how does what you learned from your mom as the glue relate to how you run College Settlement?
I think it's important to form connections and to collaborate with people. Through collaboration, you can get a lot of things done.
I understand. And in the green room, when we were talking, when we were speaking, getting to know you, you mentioned that you hope to end your career as the executive director of College Settlement. Why?
It's a great organization. We have a great mission. We've been around for 100 years, and I hope to be able to continue that mission and be able to set us up for the next 100 years.
Why are you built for this gig?
Because I think this organization was initially founded by women, and for a long time they've had male executive directors who have been long-term executive directors. And from my standpoint, it's about time that we had a women leader, and I think it's important because we have an opportunity here to influence lives and transform young children's lives and make them appreciate the environment and appreciate one another.
This is really a mission for you. This isn't a job, is it?
No.
So why is this a mission for you? Why? What's in it for you?
Well, I believe it's important to be able to see young children today, especially from the inner city, appreciate one another and appreciate the environment and learn to work with one another and try new things and to give these young kids a voice.
Are these kids paying a fee to come to camp?
We have a nominal fee, but we also offer scholarships because we want to make sure that every child has the chance to have this experience.
And are you exposing these kids to new kinds of stuff?
We teach them to swim, to bike, but we also teach them to fish. We take them to the environmental center and expose them to our animals. We take them to the farm. So it's a lot of things that kids that live in the city don't get to see.
So these underserved kids may not necessarily be aware of some of the things that they can get involved with, and you're exposing them?
Yes, we've had kids say, this is the first time I've seen stars like this at night. So it's pretty interesting.
So when you were a kid, who exposed you or who took you by the hand?
My parents did mostly. They always made sure they took us on vacation as a family, and we typically would vacation in the mountains. So it was something that I was always exposed to the environment.
And how young were you when you were taking others by the hand?
Well, I was actually, when I was born, I was already an aunt. So my nephews and nieces were constantly with me when they were growing up.
What are you talking about? Tell us more.
My sister's kids lived with us for a couple years as they were for a couple months when they were having a house built. And so I'd get home from high school, and my youngest nephew would ask me to take him for a walk. My other nephew would ask me to take him to the baseball field. So we always were together.
So how young were they and how young were you?
My nephews and nieces are about 5-6 years younger than me, and the other one was about 8 years younger than me.
So you were 16, 17 years old, and they're 10 or so. And
yes,
as opposed
correct.
to ditzing them and going hanging out with your friends, you felt a responsibility. You felt an attraction to taking care of your nephew and niece.
Yes.
Uh-huh. How's that carry over to your being the executive director of College Settlement?
Well, I think it's important that everybody gets taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why our mission is to really allow every kid the opportunity to come to camp, to come to our after school program and have this experience.
So it's really in you to take others by the hand like you did your nephew and niece, as opposed to going and playing with your friends. It's really important to you that everybody has an opportunity, it sounds like. What's the website address for this organization?
It's collegesettlement.org.
Let me have that one more time.
collegesettlement.org.
We've been speaking with Terry Dougherty, Executive Director of College Settlement, here on Executive Leaders Radio. Don't forget to visit our website. It's executiveleadersradio.com. That's executiveleadersradio.com to learn more about our executive leaders. Stick around. We'll be back in a moment right after this quick break.
You now can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Yes, you can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Simply visit executiveleadersradio.com, securely enter their info, and we'll reach out to spotlight your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Don't wait. This radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable to your advisors. Yes, this radio and online social media exposure is free and quite valuable to your business advisors who deserve to be recognized. Visit executiveleadersradio.com now to nominate your deserving business advisors.
We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. We'd like to introduce Brandon McVaugh, President of Laboratory Testing. Brandon, what is laboratory testing? What are you guys doing?
Laboratory testing is a materials testing laboratory where we perform testing for critical applications where human life is typically at risk.
Give me an example of that. What are you talking about?
Anything that flies goes underwater, so airplanes, submarines, nuclear power plants, things like that.
So you're testing the materials, huh?
That's
Where you
correct.
from originally? How many brothers and sisters, and where are you in the pecking order?
I'm from a small town called Percy. It's in Pennsylvania. I am the oldest of four.
All right, 8 to 14. What kind of stuff were you doing as a kid?
I was playing all kinds of sports, golf, baseball, and then also started working at a very young age, around 12.
Caleb?
All right, Brandon, you started working at a very young age. Where was that?
That was at our company, Laboratory Testing Inc. We're a family business. So early on, my dad said, "Hey, I have some stuff for you to do. If you're, just going to sit around here, summer's coming, why don't I put you to work?"
What kind of tasks were they giving you around the office?
Anything that needed to be done. So that early on just started cleaning, sweeping floors, cleaning bathrooms, prepping materials, anything that, didn't need a lot of skilled labor or skilled technicians to work on.
And now you're the president of LTI. So what do you learn from sweeping floors and cleaning bathrooms that relates to being the president?
Hard work and everything is important. All the details are important, especially in our business.
So when you're spending a lot of time around there, did you have any mentors?
Yeah, I had some early mentors. One of the supervisors of the department early on, his name was Ed Camber, and he showed me the ropes about the company, taught me, a lot about what we do. And then also my father.
What did you learn from Eddie that you're still taking you to work every day now?
Just the hard work, work ethic, showing up on time and being there as part of the team.
You also mentioned in the green room that you were a waiter for some time. What do you learn being a waiter?
So I worked in a tourist town in Ocean City, Maryland, very fast paced. What that taught me early on is just staying calm under pressure and dealing with customers.
What's that have to do with what you're doing nowadays?
Well, at LTI, we're a very fast paced environment, high volume. So just being on top of things and always staying calm when situations arise, especially the stuff that we faced over the last 2 years.
David, give me a hand, please.
And then what was your role being the oldest of four?
Well, naturally, just being the oldest of four, early on, just keeping an eye on my sisters and brothers as we were, going to the bus stop and things like that. And then as my sister got older and I could drive, taking her to school, watching out for her in high school and things like that.
So kind of a leadership mentor type role?
A little bit, yeah. I could say that.
How do you think that role, what do you take from that role today that you bring to work every day?
It's just the importance of, leading by example, and, being available for people, especially because I work with my sister and my brother today too. It's also just about the importance of building great relationships with the folks that you work with.
Mm-hmm. Jim?
Brandon, you took a liking to golf at an early age. How young were you when you picked up that sport?
I was about 12, 13 years old when I started playing golf.
And what were certain things that you liked about golf? What drew you to it?
Well, it's a strategic game. There's a lot of thought about, where you're going to hit the ball, how are you going to hit it, how do you want to address the shot, how do you get out of trouble? So there's a lot of strategy there, and also it's in a game of integrity where every stroke counts. So you can't cheat your way really through golf. You have to really report your score with integrity.
So how do those strategy and integrity in golf carry over to what you do at LTI today?
Well, as the president, obviously one of my number one responsibilities is to set the strategic vision for the company. So it taught me how to be strategic in my leadership. But then also what we do, and with the critical nature of our business, integrity is the utmost important thing that we can do as a company.
Integrity is the most important thing you can do as a company. Well, I guess if you're testing materials that could cause life and death, I guess your customers really do need to depend on you. And the fact that you're the third generation running this business, I guess you wouldn't be around this long unless your customers knew that they could depend on you. Am I reading that correctly?
That is correct. Our reputation is built on integrity and doing the right thing always, reporting every result with accuracy and performing every test with the utmost integrity is critical to the success of our business.
Huh. So when we were talking earlier, you mentioned that as a kid, you felt like you were well taken care of by your parents. What are you talking about?
Just my parents really cared for us. I had a great childhood, and that's it just was foundational in me and how I want to run the company. We really care for our employees. One of our values is, we treat each other like family with fairness, dignity, and respect. And we really practice that and show that as a key value of our organization.
How large or how small is the team?
We are 165 employees.
And your grandfather started the business?
That is correct.
Uh-huh. And the fact that you felt trusted as a child. I mean, it sounds to me like, you mentioned earlier that your parents would let you do what you wanted to do. I'm sure there were some limits, but right. It sounds to me like it felt like they trusted you. And I'm wondering, does this trust thing affect how you're building the team and treating customers? And because you hear about business, you hear it's blood and guts and people suing people and you can't trust people and you don't like working with this one. But it doesn't sound like that's the way you're building your business, especially because it's the third gen. Am I right or wrong?
No, that's 100% correct. Yeah, my parents were really great at allowing us to do and pursue our passions and do what we wanted to do because they trusted us. And just like what we do at LTI is we have to have that trust with our customers. They have to have trust in us that we are going to report their results with integrity. And that's that's a major part of our reputation for our company in the industry is the trust that our customers have in LTI.
Do you have any teammates that have been there more than like a year or two or three that have been there for a longer period of time?
Yes, we have employees that we just celebrated 35-year anniversaries.
Why do they stick around?
I think like a lot of the things that we said, we care, but we genuinely care about our employees. We are a culture-focused organization where we put a lot of emphasis on our culture. Mm-hmm. And we are a people-based organization. We can't do the work without great people. Well,
all right. So you're dealing with materials and testing metals to make sure that they withstand certain tolerances and stuff. But it sounds to me like you're really in the people business.
That's correct. As a leader, that's what we're really in, the business of people.
Do you ever hear like like, people have salaries and bonuses and stuff, but have you ever gone beyond what you needed to do? Like if somebody had a problem with a funeral or a car payment or stuff like that, have you ever gone beyond in terms of helping your employees out?
Yeah, we find ways to contribute to the community, whether it's organizations that we feel strongly that we support, or, just for doing outstanding job, the company out doing an outstanding job. We've taken our employees on trips. We've given extra incentive bonuses and things for just achieving outstanding results as a company. And that's just something that sticks with us.
Well, why would you do that? Why would you go ahead and invest time or money in the community or take somebody on a vacation? You don't have to do that. That wasn't part of the agreement up front.
Yeah, it's just because we care, and we know that when we care, the outcome is success. And that's one of the things that I tell everyone here is we don't have to try to be profitable. It's an outcome of being a great company, having a great culture and a great team of people that we have a saying around here that bring it every day to deliver error-free results on time to our customers. And that just leads to customer satisfaction and customers continuing to come back to LTI.
It sounds like you really enjoy your job, don't you?
I love what I do. Yes. And I love the people that work for us.
You love the people that work for you? That's an interesting word to use. Do you really?
I really have a sincere care for the employees that we have at LTI. We went through some tough times in the last 2 years. One of my goals was...
What was the website address for laboratory testing?
Labtesting.com.
We've been speaking with Brendan McVaugh, president of Laboratory Testing here on Executive Leaders Radio. Don't forget to visit our website, executiveleadersradio.com. Stick around. We'll be back in a moment right after this quick break. Don't go anywhere. We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. I'd like to introduce Yam and Paul Douglas, CEO and president of the JPI Group. What is the JPI Group?
The JPI Group is a workforce development and recruiting firm.
Excellent. And Yam, where are you from originally? How many brothers and sisters, and where are you in the pecking order?
I was born in Nigeria. I grew up in Philadelphia, and I'm the youngest of two.
And tell me, 8 to 14, what kind of stuff were you up to? What were you doing as a kid, 8 to 14?
8 to 14, I was at Hershey, PA. I went to Milton Hershey School, and I ran track, and I was in a Girl Scout.
Mm-hmm. So I understand that you went to boarding school. You mentioned earlier that your mom and dad had gotten divorced when you were about 3, and that you were raised by a single mom. And Mom sent you away to a boarding school, and I'm wondering, Jim, why don't you give me a hand with some of the other questions here?
Yeah, sure. What were some of the activities you were involved in, Yam, at Milton Hershey?
Yes, I ran track. I was a Girl Scout, and I was a part of the student government.
So it sounds like you were constantly engaged there. What is that constant engagement? What do you bring with that to the JPI Group and your team and how you run them?
Yes, I was constantly engaged. I went to school with a very diverse group of people. So that's who we are at the JPI Group as well.
Mm-hmm. David?
What did you see in your single mom growing up?
The grit, hard work. She worked long hours, so I saw that.
What do you take from what you saw from her to work every day now?
Same thing. Family first, working hard, and then just making sure that I give back to our community.
Mm-hmm. Caleb?
Thanks, John. Let's shift over to your husband and business partner, Paul. Paul, where are you from, and where are you at in the pecking order?
Sure. I am originally from Jamaica, and I am the second youngest of 12.
Wow. What were some of the things that you were doing from 8 to 14?
So 8 to 14, I grew up in Baltimore City, a pretty tough part of Baltimore City. I had a younger sister, and my mom was a maid working lots of hours. So I just remember going to school, staying out of trouble, and taking care of my sister.
What did you learn from your mother, the maid?
I always tell folks this story. I remember from the age of 8 until I left for college, I don't remember her missing a day at work. And that level of hard work and grit defines who I am until this day.
And if we can go back to you coming to the United States, how young were you?
I was 8.
So you were 8, and your sister she's about 5 years younger than you. She was 3 at the time.
That's correct.
What did you do to take care of your sister and help her out coming to the States and making that transition?
I remember playing, I like to call myself pseudo dad, but I wanted to make sure I protected her as much as I can. So I just remember always making sure that she was taken care of as much as I can and giving her as much support that I could while my mom was at work.
So you're pretty good at taking care of people. You've been doing that for a long time. How does that relate to what you do or how you mentor your employees at the JPI group?
We are a family first organization. In fact, as we interview folks and bring folks into the company, we tell them that we'll treat you as family, and this place is aligned to make sure that you can hit your personal goals and you can see your personal success.
Mm-hmm. David.
So Yam and Paul, I get this sense of that you both had to reinvent yourself at some point. Yam, you came from Nigeria. Your parents got divorced when you were 3 and then off to the boarding school. Paul, you came from being one of 12 to coming to Baltimore and being one of 2. Is that the case for both of you guys?
Sure. I think that what I've learned in life is that in order to continue to deal with life and the obstacles that face you, you have to become a new person. And luckily, some of those things happen naturally for us. And I think it prepared us for business and it prepared us to run a successful organization.
What's that constant involvement? What's that reinventing yourself have to do with the business you've created and the markets you serve?
I would say that in business, you have to constantly reinvent yourself to survive as an organization. So whether it's new products, new services, improve your culture. I think we've always kept our pulse on those things to make sure that we can see success. I mean, a quick story is that throughout COVID, we realized that we had to create a new service line, right? That was the only way that we succeeded that year. And that opportunity allowed us to make it through that year and continue to see success long-term.
And what was the new product line?
We created a platform that would help diverse candidates to get into clean energy jobs, right? So we saw that the recession was coming. We knew that clean energy was a somewhat recession-proof industry. So we created a platform to help organizations hire diverse candidates and to help underrepresented and diverse candidates find jobs in a new field.
So both you and your wife have come from difficult circumstances, and you learned about how to survive. You learned about reinventing yourself. You learned about evolution. And earlier you were mentioning to us in the green room, you're doing something with a STEM program or something like that. What's that have to do with reinventing yourself?
I would say that growing up, and Yam and I talk about this all the time, that the right job can change your life. Right. And I grew up to be very candid and transparent, where my mom was making probably $7, $8 an hour. And I know that's a number that's not sustainable. Right. And she made it work. And I saw her bust her butt. So what Yam and I decided to do was let's create an opportunity where we can put folks into a better career progression and a better career opportunity. And that's what we're most proud of as an organization.
What is
the fact that we're focused on making sure that young, diverse kids can get into STEM careers that pay well. Because we know if they can get into that'll change the legacy of their families and the legacy of their families moving forward.
And Yam, why is that so important to you?
It's so important just because that was the foundation on how we were raised, with the whole single mom, seeing our parents work hard. So that's important for us to lay that foundation for the next.
What did you learn when you went to boarding school? Where there were a lot of Black women, young girls going to boarding school with you? It
wasn't. But I learned, adaptability, how to get along with everyone. Everyone's different and unique, but we all get along. So
what's that have to do with how you're building this business?
We're a very diverse company. We're nationwide. So we have a variety. People come from different backgrounds, and that's something we pride ourselves at the JPI group.
Mm-hmm. Now, you and Paul are husband and wife, and you're also business partners. How do you complement each other as business partners? What do you guys do the same or different?
I'm the organized one. I'm more on the operation side, where Paul likes to speak, so he's more on the sales side.
Yeah. So I got a question. So you're working as business. Are you guys good business partners, or are you guys good husband or wife, or where's the stretch or where's the strain here? What's all that look like?
Here's what I tell folks when they ask us that question, Herb. I actually think it makes us stronger. As a husband and wife and as business partners, there's this complete transparency, right, on everything. And some people think that, hey, try to separate things. We talk about it with our kids. We talk about it at night. We talk about it over dinner, and we'll transition to our relationship. So I think we found our unique way to deal with it. But I think it's made us into a stronger couple and also a stronger family as a whole.
Co-host, what am I missing? What other questions should we be asking?
So I'm getting this sense that JPI, it's such a family atmosphere. It's really helped you and Yam's relationship. You guys are transparent. Does that trickle down into your employees also, Paul?
I think so. In fact, one of the things we talk about a lot is transparency. And if something comes up, we have to be transparent with our community, with our clients, with our coworkers, with our consultants, right? So that literally every Friday we talk about how were we able to provide value and treat those folks as if they're family members themselves.
And yeah, we talked about Paul's sister, excuse me. You had a brother that you went to boarding school with, and he was getting a little trouble before. Did boarding school work out for him?
It did. Turned his life around. He's doing amazing now, but taking him out of the streets of Philadelphia and going to Hershey, PA was life-changing.
And you saw this at a very young age. I mean, 8 to 14, just what we're talking about. So did that have an effect on you and just seeing how people were able to reinvent themselves and really turn their lives around?
Absolutely. I went from trash on the streets to, green grass and cows. And so it was amazing to see that transition, and it definitely changed our lives.
And you're a placement firm now. I mean, you work with people every day. So how does that relate to the candidates and employees that you're working with, Yam?
It relates every day because it's amazing how we get, candidates from all over inner city. So just placing them at jobs that they never thought they could have. So that's amazing for us.
What's the website address for the JPI group?
thejpigroup.com.
We've been speaking with Yam and Paul Douglas, CEO and president of the JPI group here on Executive Leaders Radio. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment right after this quick break.
Recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, Executive Leaders Radio. Yes, you can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Simply visit executiveleadersradio.com, securely enter their info, and we'll reach out to spotlight your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Don't wait. This radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable. Yes, this radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable to your business advisors who deserve to be recognized. Visit executiveleadersradio.com now to nominate your deserving business advisors for free exposure.
We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. I'd like to introduce Jamie Schrotberger, CEO of Spread Bagelry. Jamie, what is Spread Bagelry? What are you guys doing?
Good morning. Yeah, Spread Bagelry is a private equity-backed Montreal-style wood fire oven bagel company. We have 7 locations in and around the Philadelphia area and suburbs.
All righty. And where are you from originally? How many brothers and sisters? And where are you in the pecking order?
Sure. So I grew up right outside Philadelphia in a city called Devon, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. I have an older sister, about 2.5 years older than myself, mm-hmm. and lived outside Philly.
And I understand this is a private equity-backed firm, which means that they brought you in to be the CEO. And 8 to 14, what kind of stuff were you doing as a kid, 8 to 14 years old?
Yeah, I was a normal kid living out in the suburbs, focused a lot of my time on obviously friends and family, but baseball was a big focus for myself, as well as studying, learning how to play the piano, which I seem to have become pretty accomplished at a young age.
Mm-hmm. David?
Jamie, talking about playing the piano, you mentioned that you were trained kind of classically growing up, but then you joined a band. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. It's just when you learn how to play the piano, obviously many teachers focus on playing the classics, which I did and did well. But as I grew up and became a young man, obviously my interests growing up in the 80s, to date myself, became more synthesizer focused and wanted to be part of a team rather than just being kind of by myself alone at a piano.
How do you think that transition from being alone to being part of the team in music relates to your business today?
No, sure. Firmly believe in teamwork, allowing people to, putting people in the right positions to do the best of their ability. Have to be adaptive at all times, and adaptive optimism to kind of make others better at times, and just kind of take the lead when they need a little help.
Mm-hmm. Being in the keyboard, you're not the lead, right? So, as the CEO, don't you need to be the lead?
You have to create the vision and be the lead, but the job of a CEO or even the job of a keyboardist as part of a secondary part of a band, you need to be a great cheerleader and have that optimism at all times, to focus on bringing people together and making sure that people on the quote unquote front lines are getting everything they need, whether it be rhythm or a little extra. And to make sure that they can perform their job perfectly.
Jim?
Yeah. What did mom do and what did dad do when you were growing up, Jamie?
Sure. Mom was stayed home and raised my sister and I. My father was a financial advisor / stockbroker in the Philadelphia area.
How would you characterize your father's influence on what you do today and your mother's influence?
Sure. Mother's influence was more of the public speaking, go out and meet anybody at any time, be very charismatic. My father taught me a lot about work ethic and ethics, moral ethics as well. So I think I had the perfect combo for parents and being able to teach you a little bit different things, aspects of life.
Mm-hmm. Caleb?
Jamie, it sounds like you stayed pretty busy during the school year with baseball, piano, things like that. What did you do during the summertime?
Summertime, most of the time in that 8 to 14 year span of my life, spent a summer away camp up in New Hampshire, obviously for a good 2.5 months every summer. Very focused on obviously being thrown into a new group of friends, boys. You have to learn how to adapt in that environment, have to stay true to your own values of how your parents raised you and what you believe in yourself, but really make a fun time where you can get the most out of every summer.
What kind of activities were you doing with your friends group at the camp?
We would do everything from, playing sports camp, but most of them, my best memories is doing long canoe trips or hiking the presidential range in New Hampshire, climbing Mount Katahdin in Maine. That was a fun trip. Fun trips really taught you how to press yourself because you are working as a team. A group of you are going out doing something and facing the quote unquote elements. That was the best experience in that time frame.
Yeah, some endurance type activities between canoeing, climbing a mountain. You mentioned as a leader, you like to be a cheerleader out there. You say you have a flat organization. You're in there with the troops. Did you learn that at camp?
Absolutely. I mean, you're obviously we like to say at Spread now is fast as slow as we go right now because we are growing about 100% every year. So we have another 7 stores under construction right now. And, as a team going up a mountain, you have to, the slowest person is the weakest link, right? So you have to help people and help people up when they stumble and, carry your own self and help out carrying a little bit more weight if need be to help everybody in the whole group.
Mm-hmm. So you're at 7 stores now. I mean, we're moving pretty well. You kind of touched on climbing a mountain a little bit. What's it like trying to build this chain of bagel shops? How does that relate to climbing a mountain?
There's a lot of prep work that needs to go ahead before you can grow at 100% or even 50%. So you have to pack your bags. You have to make sure everything's right. You have to have redundancies, things in case of emergency. And when you're supplying more stores with food from further and further away, you need to plan and have logistical plans, but also mental preparation to get there.
This is great to hear. I mean, pre-flight checklist, packing your bags, Were you the leader when you were climbing up these mountains and going on these canoe trips at camp?
Never the leader. Always the guy to help out, bring the guy up from the rear, probably.
Jamie, what kind of prior work were you doing to spread Bagelry?
Sure. After business school, I worked for some pretty large mutual fund companies like BlackRock or Turner Investments in the Philadelphia area. And we're investing in innovative and disruptive companies, growth companies. I was focused primarily in the retail restaurant world. And so was able to see a tremendous amount of companies come through, saw their successes and why they were successful, saw their pitfalls and why, what they did wrong, whether it be culture, technology, food. And so I learned a lot there about restaurant growth. And that's why the private equity firm put me in place to really take Spread Bagelry to the next level.
Well, I understand that you saw the concept, and I believe that they brought you in to run the business. And I'm trying to get a sense of, these are investors. So if something's going wrong, do you put stuff under the carpet and not say anything, or do you have to be honest with them when you're seeing problems come up?
So what I've learned over my adult life is radical transparency is the most important thing you can do. So we work as a team. You're going to have successes and you'll be proud of those. There's obviously lots of problems that happen day to day in a restaurant company. So there's a lot of sometimes fires that have to be put out, but always radical transparency, letting everybody know where we are, but also talking about the vision of where we're going. Mm-hmm. And that being that cheerleader, having that adaptive optimism is very important.
So I'm wondering how that relationship with your parents lay the groundwork for your relationship with your board and your investors?
Well, I think there's, the two sides to it. It's the work ethic and moral ethics that you have to bring to the table and have that as being the integrity and authenticity of who you are and the believability and trust that they have in me. But with my customers and my customers are really my employees. I really have to, that's who I focus on is my employees. It's that outward going, like my mother would do, that always be talking to them, standing next side by side on the front lines of the operations, to telling a great story of where we're going and how they're part of it and how they're going to continue to grow within the organization to make this a better place for themselves, but for us as well.
Mm-hmm. What are you enjoying about Spread Bagelry?
I love everything. One thing that, as a CEO, I have been able to do, which I have not been able to do in my past, is really focus on branding and understanding branding and marketing and every aspect of things that you think of, being a CEO is all about the numbers, having a good handle on the numbers and focus on efficiency and capital efficiency going forward and allocation. But being able to do it all using right side of your brain and left side of your brain has been very rewarding for me.
It sounds to me like this is like camp for you. It's like a challenge. It's like climbing a mountain. It's like, it's like keeping track of 1,001 different things at all times, right?
It is. We do have a good 7-year plan where we see the peak of that mountain far away, and we need to lay the groundwork now and to execute on our business and provide great hospitality and great products to our customers, mm-hmm. and help each other up along the way. Continue to promote from within, and we'll get there.
What's the website address for this organization?
Spreadbagelry.com.
Spreadbagelry.com. We've been speaking with Jamie Schrotberger, CEO of Spread Bagelry, here on Executive Leaders Radio. Caleb, can you give us a rundown of who else we had the opportunity of speaking with today?
Yep. Awesome show today, Herb. We started with Terry Dougherty, who's the Executive Director of College Settlement. Went with Brandon McVaugh, President of LTI, Laboratory Testing, Inc. And we spoke with the JPI Group, Jan Douglas, the CEO, and Paul Douglas, the President. And we just finished up with Jamie Schrotberger, the CEO of Spread Bagelry.
I would like to thank my co-hosts, including Jim Wilson, Newmark, Caleb Hoppus, Hanlon, and David Jackwitz, Evolution Financial Group, for giving me a hand structuring the questions, hopefully providing our listening audience an educational and entertaining show. I'd like to thank our listening audience for listening. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a radio show. Don't forget to visit our website. It's executiveleadersradio.com. That's executiveleadersradio.com to learn more about our executive leaders. Thank you for joining us today, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.